Welcome to Reimagining Abilities, our podcast telling some of the stories of the individuals we support.
We recognize that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities or physical disabilities often experience challenges and face barriers that sometimes a person without a neurological impairment may face. And so with the use of technology, we are trying to figure out ways that we can break those barriers, kind of bridge those gaps. And with our community partners, well, the medical community, partnering with the medical community, and the use of technology, advanced technology, we are able to provide, in my opinion, a higher quality of medical services. For example, we're using a MedPod device. It's a mobile medical device, and what that does is that allows us to send a nurse to a person's home at the onset of an illness, maybe a presentation of symptoms, and we're able to use this device, and with this device there's some very sophisticated diagnostic equipment that's attached to this device. And there's a video screen, and the video screen, on the other end of the video screen, you would have a physician or a nurse practitioner that's watching and interacting this entire time. And the person or the nurse on the other end is with that patient and is able to use that diagnostic equipment and is able to send that information to that licensed medical provider in real time so that there is a more accurate diagnosis. I think that people sometimes forget that a person with disabilities, particularly if they have a barrier in communicating, that sometimes a medical situation or a medical illness could be delayed, and sometimes a delay in what could be an acute issue turns into a much bigger or more chronic issue, and then bigger things happen. For example, there may be a bigger dependency on someone taking care of them. And being independent and not being so dependent on other people is important to a lot of people. And so anything that we can do to help with that, that's our mission. First of all, not all physicians are experienced in working with people with communication barriers. When a person with a neurological impairment or an intellectual disability is trying to effectively communicate what's going on with them but can't, it's sometimes difficult for that physician or that medical provider to understand what's going on. And unless you're going to run a lot of expensive tests, it's hard to truly pinpoint what's going on with that person. When a person with a disability is unable to communicate, I think that in itself just presents a lot of challenges, and that's where sometimes that treatment isn't always as effective. The individuals that we support are often accompanied with a direct support professional or a caregiver. And sometimes because of the communication barrier, the person that is accompanying them is charged with advocating and communicating what might be going on. Well, sometimes that's accurate and sometimes it may not be. So we are partnering with some of the medical universities in this area, as well as some of the local hospitals. And one of the things that we're doing is we're providing education as it relates to people with intellectual and physical disabilities. We have a group of med students that come through and rotate through and have conversations with us about what they can do to better support this particular population. We use technology in the home to kind of oversee certain medical information, kind of monitor baseline medical information, and that information is very important when you are communicating with physicians that are overseeing their physical care. And so because we are innovative in the way that we're collecting that information, I think that is very important because, again, going back to those communication barriers, it's sometimes hard for a person who has a physical disability or even an intellectual disability to effectively communicate how they're feeling. So with our technology, we're able to provide supporting documentation and supporting information to a provider so that they can make a better decision from a medical standpoint. The way that we monitor that is based on that person's preference. So we have a conversation with that person and we ask them and we try to talk with them and about how we can better support them in that area. And so it could be a device that it could be through an Apple Watch. It could be some technology that's within the home that we have that can monitor and sense things that are different through your biometrics. The technology that's out there today is extremely advanced, and so we work with vendors and we have conversations with vendors on what it is that people that we support need. So the one thing that I think that the Charles Lee Center does extremely well is that we recognize that everyone is different, and that advocating for a person is not just advocating for a population, it's truly understanding and recognizing that each person is different. Their preferences are different. What they want in their life is different. So before we can effectively support them, we have to know that individual. We have to know what it is that's important to that individual, and taking all of that into consideration, especially as it relates to their medical services.
If you want to support us, you can contact us at our website, www.charleslee.org.